Hi, my name is Ken Rasmussen. I wrote the Microbiome prescription site, and today I spent a long day improving things, basically recomputing everything so that everything is available as true percentiles, which means we get a bit more accurate information and better tuning as this cascades through. But the main reason I did was to facilitate people comparing samples. So to illustrate, if you do a log on, I'm going to go and use the bottom side login because it has two samples on it. As you can see, I have two samples here. And if you have two or more samples and premium, you will find this button sitting there that takes you over here. You will see all your samples you can select or deselect. You need to have at least two for meaningful comparison. And now we have the bacteria or taxonomy. End products. KEGG determine enzymes. KEGG determines molecular. KEGG stands for the Kyoto Encyclopedia of Gene and Genomics, which is very low level analysis, which is sweet because we can do things with it which are pretty accurate because we're working on the basis of the genes in specific bacteria, not in terms of a general strain or family. So go in and let's start with the easy one. Let's do end products. So I'm going to click select report. Opens it up. Gives you some advice at the top. Counts less than 1,000. Should generally not be given much weight. Bacteria and the lab's measuring is slightly variable, and you really want to have a large enough number of a particular bacteria or combination of bacteria before you start jumping to conclusions. So basically anything less than 1,000 should not be given much weight. If you're really interested, you can, but you may be reading more into the data than actually there. And below 5% and 95 percentile could be a concern. You see here is the raw count up top, and then down below you see the percentile ranking. So everything is there. We also have a column called flag. And if you're on a page, just to go and do a search for F, and it will take you there. And we only have one item on this page as flag, which is the end product of testosterone. It is a last measurement was 95th percentile, 96th percentile. Prior to that, it was high, it was 88th percentile, so it has increased, whatever the cause is, and then whatever. So we go and mark things with a blue color. Alternatively, we are alternating colors to make it easier to read, and we have a star sitting on in the flag column if there's anything there. So end products was a nice easy one to do. Let's go back and take a look at something else. Let's go and take a look at the bacteria. Notice that it always opens up in a new tab, so you don't have, so once you have selection, you have everything easily available for side by side without having to do much comparison. Again, we have the taxonomy rank followed by that. You notice the last column is hypertext. So if you click on one, let's say class Colostria, and then you click that, and it will go and give you information. So lots of information, and in this case it plots where your two values are on the chart, which is, it should be in agreement with what you have here. The chart numbers are done slightly different way and need to get them all in sync with each other, but basically we have 50th percentile and 82nd percentile. We have just above 50th percentile and 82nd percentile, so they actually are in agreement, and I just remember inadvertently kept them in agreement. Again, if you want to see if there's something of concern, just put a star, and we see we have 21 items. Imagine that. So we now just go and go through. There's the first one. We were very high. We went down a little bit, but the numbers are still high. And actually, that's very high because in terms of bacteria, it's out of a million, and you have half of them being just one particular class of bacteria. Number one, again, it was high. It has gone down both in absolute number and percentile ranking, which is good. Next one, another one that has gone down. Another one that has gone down, gone down, gone down, gone down, gone down. Hey, everything seems to be heading in the right direction. Everything getting away from extreme values towards normal values. Let's see if this keeps going on. Whoops, something went up the wrong way. So one particular family of bacteria was moderately high, 70 percentile, and has taken off a bit. Okay, number one, which went down, number one down, another one that went up. Again, it was 90 percentile, 95. So although it is a increase, relatively speaking, it's a relatively minor increase, which probably means it shouldn't be much of a concern. It's not a major change. Here we have one where it has taken off. It was high, and now it has, in terms of percentile, it's just a 10% percentile increase, but it's close to the highest value seen in any samples, and that's in almost 1,500 samples. And the actual absolute number has gone up by almost a factor of 4. Again, we have some more decrease, 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 decrease. And here we have two, which are both sitting at a high level, 95th percentile, which means that this is probably a bacteria you would definitely be interested in doing adjustments to. Another one, decrease, decrease, decrease. So we've got through all of them. Something like 18 improved and went back to the normal range. 2 of them, or 3 of them, went in the wrong direction. So you got a good idea how to do it. Now remember, we have hundreds of bacteria out there, so it makes it much easier to do it. Switching over to this format was done because the amount of information you have on comparing samples has now grown to relatively obscene numbers, as in literally thousands of items to compare. That's a lot of scanning, and having it pre-scanned and flagged makes it easier. Let's go on to the next one, which is cake modulars. We click here, and again we just do a search for stars, and we have 1, 2. That's it. So in other words, all the cake modular biological flows are all appearing to be either innormal, or the numbers involved are sufficiently small that we really shouldn't give them much weight. It's only when it's above 1,000 that you really should be giving a weight for most of these. Anything below 1,000, my gut feeling is you're reading more into it than it's actually there. And the last one, the cake enzymes, which is that massive number of items. And it will take a few minutes for it to load the page. Oops. Once remember to press view report. And again, simple control F to find. And we find we have 7, which means 5 items are there. So we have one thing that goes up, which has dropped down. Another thing that has dropped down. A couple more things that have dropped down. So all these items are things which have dropped down from before. Okay, now when we're dealing with these items, some of them are probably mysterious names to you, and I don't have a way to educate you easily and quickly on 5,000 different enzymes. What you do have is ability to link here, and it will actually take you over to the PubMed, the KEGG database, and it will give you some information. And it indicates it's produced by absolutely expensive Lactobacillus plantarum, and so it's a very specific one. You can see the taxonomy of everything it comes from. If it comes from other enzymes, it will be listed in taxonomy. And the other way is, once you get this far down, you have a bunch of different names, and you can just go across and do a web search for that. And in this case, we find Wikipedia there. You can go and start reading about what Wikipedia is, and etc. And this particularly is interesting, which induces activity of, okay, so it basically indicates production of allyl lactate, and we can just keep going on. I can't fill in the knowledge of all the bits and pieces. I can show you how you get that information. Now, with that few items, keyword is a few items which are being flagged, you probably want to start doing some reading to understand why or how something interacts. So in this case, we have Lactobacillus plantarum is there, and if we actually go back to right there, let's see if we have anything. We have plantarum there, and we actually have not that much of the plantarum, so it must be some other item, which is some other bacteria which you have, which is known, which has a gene that produces this enzyme, and that bacteria is where it is. Again, if you want to track it down, you can go back here and hit the magic word taxonomy. Which goes over and now gives the list of all the bacteria that produces this enzyme, and then the net outcome of all of those bacteria in your sample resulted in a abnormal value for this particular one. In this case, a low value, which could imply, since this is the one that produces allyl lactate, it could imply that production of D-lactate is perhaps going the wrong way. Okay, so that's it. That gives you a quick overview of the new pages. It makes it a lot easier for you to see what has changed across 4,000, 5,000 different measures between 2 or more samples. Hopefully it'll be helpful. A lot of information is there, and a lot of the information you can actually ignore. What you want to do is look for the stars and start reading to learn about the fine-grained details of what may be affecting your gut bacteria or and your health conditions and symptoms.